been described as the smallest and oldest compared to its neighbors. So now looking at that, that means that, well, if we have the chairmanship or the presidency of the ECOWAS, then maybe we need to up our game. What do you think? Well, why they are inviting the Minister for Finance to come and justify why the president used a luxurious jet as presidential jet for some.
Good morning to our listeners out here, wherever they might be. Once again, God has granted us by His grace this new day, and we are here. How was the Father's Day for you? It was good. They made it special for me. Great. Yeah, but a bit of controversy as well as with fathers. Now that is that. The Bible was whether who are you responsible for what is one's a father. That was the thing that yesterday night. And we describe our presidents, father to the father of when especially they are irresponsible and they continue to spend and say that people are living in poverty and what African is located in this Lazarus church. Yeah, man. All of them are when your children are hungry, you want to buy yourself nice car. It's irresponsible. Why you fly with the latest presidential jet to Ghana when people are suffering, dying? Want us to acknowledge you as the father of the people. You are irresponsible father of the people. Okay. Let me first give a line for you who has also joined us. Johnny, good morning to you.
Well, a very good morning to you back in the studio. Good morning to you, Frank. Good morning to all our presenters working tirelessly. And this is Star Radio UK, the morning show where we take you around the world. But this time around is exactly 5 minutes past 11, right here from London, where we're reporting from. And I'll be taking you to some of the latest news and the developments in Nigeria. And just like Frank says, I had a very good Father's Day. But it will have been nice when all the politicians with billions of naira, dollars, start all over the world and their children are crying for hunger. And that is the more reason why someone like me believes it's time for a total disintegration out of Nigeria. Once again, let's come back to you now in the studio.
Yes. I'm glad you had a very good Father's Day celebration there as well. Okay, now listeners, it's on Koiki. Up at the studios, with me in the studio is a brand Davis of Archie, and it's now time for us to look at some of the stories that is making the rounds in Nigeria. So let's cross over once again, and let's say, Yobi, welcome, and we hope that you had a nice rest. And what do you have for us? Let's go.
Well, quite a lot. Let's touch on the insecurity. The insecurity as it's a very important area that we need to continue to talk about, especially to allow the government to be on their toes. When it comes to the insecurity, we can review so many things on it. But the headline I've just picked up says insecurity threatening girl child education in the northern Nigeria, according to the Senate President Ahmed Lawan. Why is it threatening the girls in the northern part of the country? It then takes me back to a girl that a lot of us will remember. When I mention her name now, and that is Lee Shuaibu. Lee Shuaibu, that was one individual that was not just being adopted, but he has also given birth to the terrorists, as you might want to call them, in their captives, for something that shouldn't be. If we remember Lee Shuaibu, a lot of people must have forgotten about her completely, and I'm not sure it's not just her alone that we are discussing here. Let me just remind those that might not remember her, or those that might probably have forgotten about her. It all started, when over 100 Chibo girls, schoolgirls, were adopted, that is now called, the Dapchi school captive. Lee Shuaibu was among them, and the other kidnapped victims were fed to where we now call the Islamic State Western Western African Province. This was some few years back. 112 Chibok girls were no longer in the custody of the Boko Haram terrorists and were felt to have been captured. But one name that kept ringing back to so many Nigerians across the globe and international community was this individual known as Liz Tribal that refused to renounce a religion as a Christian to why she was kept, in the hands of the Boko Haram. According to the information and evidence, she has also given birth, to a bouncing baby boy, and we can only pray that she'll be returned back. But the president of the Senate, current one, Dr. Ahmed Lawan, has raised the alarm that the disturbing insecurity in the northern part of Nigeria was already affecting the disposition of young people, especially girls, towards education. He said the attacks on school hostels by the bandits and the insurgents who usually kidnap the student was affecting the attitude of girls in the north to education. Does it mean that some of the children or some of those girls will refuse to go back to school? These are issues that a lot of Nigerians will be asking this morning. He said, and I quote, "It is a very bad development that education is suffering, especially with so much kidnapping of school children, especially the girls one as well." I want to come back again to you in the studio and we'll look into these before we touch on some of the other headlines. If you're sending money home today, remember to use SendWaves to send money to your loved ones back home. And like I always say, it is exactly 9 minutes past. Remember to subscribe our YouTube channel on Star Radio UK. We are also streaming on Twitter, and we are also relaying that on some of our other partners that are transmitting it as I speak to you right now. Star Radio UK, your finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. And I'll come back straight to you in the studio.
Yes, listeners to live from Nigeria. But that is one area, because you know that when it comes to education, especially girl child education, we are trying, when it comes to Africa, we try to encourage that. Now, with this attacks, kidnapping that has gone on, virtually if I'm living around any part of that particular area, I would not want my girl child to go to school. And the problem is, I don't have the means to home tutor the child as well. And therefore, they are going to suffer. So I seem to agree with this leader who has made about what is government doing about it.
Yes, actually, if you look at the structure of our countries, you realize that the more educated you are, the more you are prone to certain urban areas.
Yeah,
that's a natural
yeah.
Because we tend to basically migrate towards the kind of jobs that we think justify the kind of knowledge, education that we might acquire, or do necessary, as Sungoman will tell you, not so, because some of this education has actually trained us to be more diabolic and corrupt. Most educated people among us, some who have entered the politics have themselves become poisonous agents of destruction. Now, if you look with this structure, you look at the villages will be constituted with parents who are less educated or less able to educate their kids. Now, if you then have a situation where the most vulnerable, and in every conflict, you look at the vulnerable people, they those who suffer more. Look at the children, look at women, look at the aged, the pregnant people. They are those who suffer more. They are less likely to run away, or they have less option and might not be able to endure such situation. And if girls are becoming a target, they adapt, then girls are becoming a target more, then I am not going to go to school if I'm a girl. Or if I have a probably, I just have to keep them at home. That is even if they won't be safe. So this report or this comment that is coming, I think it's worth for the people at the end of the day. Over a period of time, it's not only the crime that we're looking at today, but how this is likely and potentially to affect the livelihood and the life chances of all these people. And it's going to have intergenerational effect. So the man who might have suffered, probably sold their land, labored to be able to put a girl in school. Now, because of this, the girl has done the no-go. That investment is lost, right? It means means that the insurance policy, which in this case will be the girl that is really educated, will enhance what they call life chances and the sources, diversify the sources of income. It is now back to square one, which means that any move that the parents will have taking care of in future as an using the gas and insurance policy, that policy has come. Therefore, you're going to see this intergenerational effect for years to come, just because of what Boko Haram and all those criminal bandits are doing now.
Well, we'll go back to Yomi, but Kunle Adil. Okay, I know who Kunle Adil is. Good morning to you there. And Shina Yusuf says, God bless you all. Shina, thank you very much once again. But let's go to Yomi, because there are some of the stories that we're going to be looking at there. So over to you, Yomi. No. Before you move on to the other story. Now, when it comes to the northern part, now, how many girls and women, what percentage roughly from the top of your head, if you know it, are still in school?
I mean, I might have to come back to you on that, but with about 13 million children out of school in Nigeria, the huge percentage of that is definitely coming from the northern part of the country. Yes, I'm sure looking at your mouth there, it might be shocking, but that is the percentage as I speak right now. You go down to Lagos, these early hours of almost 11 minutes past, when all the children should be in the school, you will see all the children hawking on the street. But you might think that is just in Lagos until you get to some of our rural areas that I was able to visit, and you realize that the schools are completely shut down. I was watching a video from the southeast on one of our brothers' page, Mayegun, as is very popularly known in Scotland where he resides. And in that primary school, you could see, the elders throwing into the primary school compound with all the cows in there, and the children were very scared, and they had to kind of keep them away. That is the kind of, not just those that have been kidnapped that we are talking about. We now also have the cows making their way into the schools, and that is also creating a lot of problems. I mean, the issues are just there. Go around there. We just came back from Nigeria for 6 months, and I can tell you, people are waking up every day, and there's not thinking of going to school. The public school that I attended as a secondary school is no longer functioning to the extent that a lot of people now rely on the private school. A private school is very expensive with an average salary at about 30,000 naira. We worked it down at about almost 25 pounds, a month, and a private school could sometimes cost up to 60,000. That is why corruption is still part of the game in Nigeria.
If you're not corrupt, you can't survive.
And actually, talking about this education issue, what then you're looking at is you're looking at the situation creating a fertile ground for criminals.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, girls might go into prostitution as a way of surviving. Teenage pregnancy will increase.
Yeah.
The boys might take arms and be recruited more or affiliate themselves to recruited more. Banditry.
Yeah.
So basically, we are nursing a home for criminals just because of what these bandits are doing. And that's why when governments are not able to address this issue against them, and look at it as a state of emergency that they have to work towards, then it's a problem, because if it is a presidential jet that is going to do, they will find a way of fixing it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But if it is your household that are going, they will find a way of fixing it. But this is a problem that actually, if you look at it, 10 years, 5 years down the line,
we will repeat the reward of
what
the bad reward.
Yeah, what is happening? It's not going to be easy. This is just not an issue of, that will be confined to 2001. No. Because teenage pregnancy will definitely increase.
Yeah.
Crime will increase. Yeah. The boys want to survive.
Yeah.
So if we think, yes, lack of food, lack of this thing has resulted in this, then let's look for more, because it's going to be worse.
Well, and the leaders speak in Ghana, and what they are doing is now, I pass my labor. My jet is more expensive, more luxurious. All right. Yes, let's go back to Yomi for some more of the updates. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, let's touch on some of the other headlines, and I might come back to this issue of the insecurity on the girls. Police have now intensified the search for the Super TV CEO killers and the block account. The Lagos State Commissioner of Police, Akim Dusumu, has said efforts are now to arrest the suspected killers of the chief executive officer of Super TV, Usafo Atage, in the Lekki area of the state. I've been following this story, for some days now. When it all, went into, the air. Dosumos also said Atage account had been blocked to prevent any further withdrawal from it from those taking advantage of his ultimate death to depilate the account. According to the Commissioner for Police, that the police had identified effort to locate the whereabouts of the killers, adding that there was no adequate security arrangement at the scene of the incident to aid police investigation. Again, part of the corruption, part of the reason why a lot of Nigerians are asking if the Constitution, can no longer protect you as a citizens, just like the Commissioner for Police is saying that they haven't got the, the aid, to investigate a crime of such magnitude where somebody has died. And that would then, slightly take me out of that story where, according to, the report here, exclusive, the ex-Nigerian Police Inspector General of Police, Idris, is linked to 250 million naira unapproved contract at the police academy. Just put that at the back of your mind there, and let's come back again to this Atage story that we are still discussing. Atage and a lady, which is not his wife, had lodged into a service apartment for 3 days, adding that the suspect stole the deceased personal belongings after perpetrating the crime. According to the police, again, the police were at where the incident happened is a block of flat, and the lady who rented out the flat is already in the custody. She has been using the place for short leg and does not live there. She's assisting us with the investigation. We hope that will also be resolved as quickly as possible. Let me come back to the next story. IPOB, the CNG fault the Southeast leaders insist on referendum. According to the story, the coalition of northern groups as described as insufficient, deceptive, unacceptable, the disowning of the indigenous people of the Biafra, also known as IPOB, by the Southeast leader shared by Governor David Umaya of Ebonyi State. According to the coalition of the northern group says, the refusal by the Southeast leader was unacceptable and insisted that a referendum must be conducted to prepare the stage for the final exit of the Igbo from the rest of Nigeria that had never engaged in such violent agitation for the breakup at any time. According to the organization, alleged that while on one hand the Southeast leader were pretending in their denouncing IPOB, on the other hand they are working to give legitimacy to the Eastern Security Network, which they remain, which all know is militant wing of the IPOB. According to the spokesman of the CNG, Abdul Aziz Sulaiman raised this objection in a statement issued yesterday evening titled Biafra Southeast Leader Refuter Insufficient Unacceptable Substitute for Referendum. Let's go straight to the next story, then I'm going to come slightly back again to you in the studio. If you're just joining us, this is Starr Radio UK Morning Show, and this is where we take you around to what is happening in Nigeria and outside the country as well. Doesn't seem to be going on well again with the Constitution. According to Nadeko, a very popular, I'll be giving a little bit of their background, has written to Buhari on insecurity, has now also insist on the abrogation of the 1999 Constitution. According to the National Democratic Coalition, which was the forefront of the June 12, 1993 election, and after it was announced, there was quite a lot of crisis then. Nadeko was the forefront from the southwest of things, has written to President Muhammadu Buhari over the rising security challenge in the country and canvassed as a panics the return to 1963 Constitution to replace the extant 1999 Grodom, which is said the military imposed on Nigerians. According to the pro-democracy group, which was in the vanguard of the clamor for the rebirth of democracy in Nigeria during the military regime of the late General Sani Abacha, there was quite a lot of intensive work from the Nadeko that were very popular at the time, just like the campaign for the total disintegration of Nigeria from the Oduduwa and the Biafra and the Middle Belt is currently going on. Nadeko then was the forefront asking Buhari must go, Abacha must go there, and so many of them had to leave the country into exile for so many years until Abacha died, and some of them started returning back into the country today. According to them, the military regime of the late General Sani Abacha, leading to the return to the civil ruled in 1999 in an open letter to the president, pressed for the suspension of further election until the country get a new constitution. So it seems a lot of people are lying that until we get a new constitution, there's no point going into another election, which is just about less than 2 years away from now. If all is going on, it seems all is not going on because so many people are coming out, just like Wole Soyinka said, Professor Wole Soyinka, the Nobel laureate, said last week, that decentralize the country or the country goes into disintegration. Last year, remember, Pastor Enoch Adeboye of the Redeemed Christian Church said there's a crack within the system, also asked for restructuring of the country. The vice president said there's a crack in the hole. It was the vice president that said so, but Pastor Enoch Adeboye was working it out from the mathematician aspect that until the country is restructured, there's no going area. It seems Nigeria is really at the verge of something. Let me come back again to you in the studio. This is Starr Radio UK.
Did the vice president say crack?
Oh yes, it says so. Yeah, last year.
I think it was wrong. He was being economical. No, I mean, has the cracks. I mean, the man that S over he can't also say crack. Crack what? Which side? Because they have cracks. Yeah. They have cracks. So, I don't know where he. Well, anyway, the difference between that S can make a difference. Yes. Interesting. Olaren Wajo says, useless country. He just says, it's a useless country. But let's not go there yet. Let's not go there. Now, the problem now is Nigeria is supposed to go to another election, call it in a couple of years. Now, there's this agitation going on since last year. Let me put it that way.
Radio.
Okay, there are others that have been going on for some time, but we saw that it just went up last year and early part of this. Some people are calling for maybe a real writing of the Constitution. Now, up to now, nothing has been said about it. Authorities are not saying that, okay, we're going to look into it. But I remember that you said during Jonathan's time, there was a look at a
review, yeah.
Review. But nothing was done. It wasn't made public. And up to now, they show that wherever it is. So, are we just sitting on a time bomb, just waiting for a boom where we have to say, okay,
we even constitution review must come under the constitution because normally constitution you cannot just be reviewing it like we change our shirts, we change our
of course,
we change our hairstyles. The constitution must guide how it is reviewed.
Okay.
So if you take Ghana's constitution, you have your 10 years.
Okay, 10 years. Okay.
For the constitution has to be okay. Unless there's a general constitution, otherwise, constitution itself provides for how the generation must have a way of reviewing it, looking at it. What tends to be the case is that the people in power at the time such incidents or such issues as that look at the constitution and see how it takes and benefits them and go to the political class to see what is to be reviewed, what is not to be reviewed. And mind you, those reviews are limited. So you will recall that a few years back, 2010, 2011, 2009, there was a committee that was set up for Ghana Constitution.
Yeah.
And when you have to play, interview people looking at what, throwing a lot of money on per diem and other things, that's the money that they do. Because when you finish all that, the commission will be set up to study whatever has been done, and commission that has been collected. And then the president will then have the authority to issue the executive power, what they call white paper, what they accept and what they don't accept. That is one way. There's another way where the constitution itself will be thrown overboard. Yeah. And so we need a very new radical constitution. And I think what the Nigerians are asking for now, it is not the inbuilt mechanism which Jonathan and others use to do a limited review of the constitution. Some to the large extent is secret. A lot of people didn't know about it. And they just look at certain articles that they think have not favored them. Look at how they can follow their cronies to be able to question it and so they don't subject it to the popular what they call it, the 1770.
Yeah. Look at what he constitution was. And the normal it was a constitution that went to go and review. Yes, if you want to major entrenched articles, there's entrenched articles we have to go to the public where there are others other than entrenched articles in his side. Well, done by Parliament. The Parliament went to consult people, they came back and consulted and said, okay, that the people went remove the age limit and remove the number of times the president can run again as president. Now, we have to look at what is happening to Nigerians. I do not think that Nigerians will be satisfied with any limited review which will not affect some of the trend position of the constitution. I think it's time the government and the Senate, or what do you call it, the House of Representatives, take this issue up, because the least that they can offer Nigerians now is to agree with major constitutional referendum for Nigeria to accept or reject it. If they don't do that, you fueling agitation, giving, because if the Igbos, the Yorubas, and others are agitating about different things, and in all this, the constitution seems to play in all the discussions, then one way of taking the meat out of the mouth of those lions is to be able to offer them what they want as a step, as a federal step, put involve the whole country. Let's all discuss. Yeah. This is a constitution. The next 6 months, or if they want, look, when the term of the president ends, so okay, we will not go in for it. Then the Senate should pass an emergency law that will see a unity government for 12 months. All parties coming together, equal representation, a unity government for 6 months. Then they use that to review and go for a new constitution before a party comes to power on its own strength. But that's not going to happen. Why? Because people have invested in Buhari. Yeah. People are lined up to become the next president. And there's nothing you're going to do now apart from pushing a bit of violent party that's going to get people to start thinking. Yeah. And I think it's sad, but that's what we are.
Well, listen, let's start ready. Okay, let's say good morning to Sister Jane at work watching us on break. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. But tell me, with what Frank has said, do you think that if it happens that some way, somehow, the government decide, okay, let's review, or let's throw even this new, what do you call it, this constitution out of the window and come out with a new one, do you think that those who are calling for the separation or the breakup of the country will be satisfied?
Well, it's a win-win situation scenario, and the question will have to go back to the whole formation. I mean, if you're going to review or renew this constitution, whether it will dose the tension that is currently going on in the country in terms of a breakout of the country, then it still goes back to who control the resources, because the whole fight of today is about the resources underneath each of these indigenous owners of the land. So that means somebody in the southeast believes that he has not been, well taken care of from the resources of the country, and that is why they cannot get to their fishing revenue, in a river area, because it has been polluted, by the crude oil that should have given life to them. So they've missed out of both from from receiving the dividends of the crude oil, and likewise, the natural resources under where they can catch their fish. And there's people from the southwest will also blame, from not having access to their farmland because it has become, a no-go area. Should we go back to review the constitution, renew it? Yes, maybe some people might believe so, but that will still be a question mark whether it will dose off the tension. A lot of people have asked for restructure of the country for a very long time. The restructure will have taken us back, to the constitution review, which a lot of people, from the NADECO that have also, voiced out as well, that, by taking us back to that 1960, 1963, a lot of people believe these were, the real constitution where everybody, in their own regional government. So that means, you pay percentage to the top. But since that has not happened, there's been so many cases that have taken place since then. Until date, each of the government, I was looking at some of the manifesto of the APC over the weekend, and part of what they told Nigerians were they'll be coming in, maybe before they leave the power, to restructure the country. They've not been able to look into that at all. So whether they will look into, the constitution is something that we'll have to talk about. So let me just touch on the Nadeco, a bit of the letter, then I come back again to the studio. The letter dated, 15th of June and was signed by Okpadokun to the Secretary General, United Nations Organization, Mr. Antonio Guterres, requested the global body intervention to halt the fast deterioration of the national security and political instability in Nigeria. According to the copy of the letter to the UN Secretary Council, the President of the United States, the Speaker of the Congress, the Leader of the Senate of the United States, the European Union, the European Parliament, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, and the House of Commons, and the President of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Buhari, as well as the President of the Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs. These were all the way the letters has been, directed to. Nadeco, in the letter to the President, accused him of fueling secessionist agitations through colonization policy of his administration and his disregard for the constitution that we are just discussing about. So as the country turned to where the president is not listening any longer to the constitution, or would the country be going into a new constitution review, which the same president have refused to talk about it, since they've been in power for the last 6 years. So this, according to it, also decried the deterioration of national security, political instability under Buhari administration.
Actually, yeah, let me. I'm going to make it very serious appeal. Sometimes, and I know my brothers, the Yoruba people, and the Igbo, this might not seem well with them, but I think the battle at hand is not Buhari. The battle at hand, yes, Buhari might be that the who himself is not helping things. And if those of us who are Ghanaians, Burkinabes, Congolese, Cameroonians, probably from Senegal, think this is an issue to do in Nigeria, it is not an issue. This goes beyond Buhari, it goes beyond Nigeria. It's an agenda. I said last week, and I think I sent you an article over the weekend. This goes beyond Buhari. So whilst we're looking at restructure, which is very important that we must do, and again, it goes to the heart of the issue, the constitution. You can't have a working machine that is not functioning because of the way it was planned, the way it has been assembled, and you want to restructure it and to maintain the same working manual that you actually gave the machine that you are now trying to restructure. Anything that you do to that machine, the corresponding manual that guides it must also have a bit of work being done to it, and that's where the constitution comes in. But we must look at this and what is happening in Nigeria as a grand attempt to stabilize people that instability. Because Nigerians who recall that the issue about the French presence in Boko Haram in the forest is something that the French government was moved about. And in my view, I do think that the Nigerian government dealt with that issue again very leniently. The way they start looking at it. The other the way they dealt with and Zimbabwe dealt with Mataches stabilized and was said to be that because he's a British. What is happening? The French attempt to stabilize the group. The Boko Haram issue, French have in mind. If you look at what is happening in Mali, Chad, it's all so once we look at the Fulani issue, Fulani are linked to the share. And we know that Nigerians are even complaining that Buhari spends money.
Spending
government share than basically in Nigeria itself. What is happening in the South has conspirators decided, but the US cannot tell us they are not aware of it. They are aware of it. And it's all because of the uranium deposits. So, yes, we might be fighting ourselves, but look at the bigger enemy. Look at the bigger enemy. Because today we might find ourselves as a but it's about dividing us and coming after us one by one. That will be my statement for this last question.
But before we move on to other stories, now, how many Nigerians? How many? Because who are looking forward to maybe separation? I've been talking about that, and we talk about consensus, and if majority of them, assuming we go for a referendum, and we see that majority of the people are saying that no, we want to, then maybe you listen to them, because as we say, sometimes the voice of the people is the voice of the law. But if just a handful of people who think, okay, we think we are not being treated fairly, to have some people, some evils, and some Yorubas thinking, no. But maybe majority of them don't agree to that, then maybe we are fighting or plugging a dead horse. What do you think about it?
Well, it's a big question that needs to be reviewed all the time. What is the percentage? Because that is the only way we can gauge, the momentum. Does people still believe in one Nigeria? I mean, a lot of people believe that, it's about the leadership problem. And when we have the right people in there, Nigeria is a blessed country with so many potentials, but those potentials is not being harnessed properly due to the fact that, the country has literally deprived people of those potentials. So those are the groups of people that still believes in Nigeria, but some are just there because they got no clue what is going on in the country. You go to the rural areas that have no idea why they are suffering. Some of them doesn't understand why there's no light, and some of them believe that all that is happening in Nigeria is happening around the world just like that. So it's difficult for some people that says, I was listening to one of our media colleagues yesterday saying, we are the one trying to propagate, the new way of life to the people. This is how life is meant to look like. I mean, for someone that lives in a remote area that have never experienced any kind of electricity for 24 hours, 7 days a week, 30 days a month, 365 days, and you're trying to tell them that, look, you can have that same life the way you are in your rural area, but with a better option. It's very difficult for them because everything has been bastardized, and when it comes to that, it takes me slightly back to where we were discussing earlier on, the girls' child education. I was going back to a review of what the British Council did in 2009, in terms of this report that I'm about to bring out. I mean, this is about, let me be sure, it's 2009. This 2014 report. And this is what they have to say, when it comes to whether so many people that believe in the one Nigeria or those that disagree with one Nigeria. According to the report that I've got here, girls and women suffer education exclusion across Nigeria. Remember, this is 2014, and this is about another 6 years down the line. We're now in 2021. This report came out in 2014, so you would have expected government to have dealt with so many of the issues or point that was raised here. Girls and women suffer education exclusion across Nigeria. Nigeria out-of-school population is the largest in the world. It is growing. Of the staggering 10.5 million out-of-school children in Nigeria today, majority are girls from the poorest family in the rural areas of the Northwest, the Northeast region that we have been discussing about, and among the most at risk of never attending school. Now is the time to deliver on the Federal Ministry of Education mission of education to foster development. So if after 6 years that we couldn't even still come back and say that percentage has dropped down, rather it remained increased, but again, it's a question that a lot of people would like to see. Let's put it on the test. Who wants to be part of Nigeria and who wants the exit out of Nigeria?
Yeah, because I think that but there's one area that you're talking about. You're talking about those who are living in the rural area. This is what you know. It become a norm to them. So if you're saying, oh, there is something better for you, you waive that. Unless you are able to convince them beyond all reasonable doubt, they think that where they are okay with it. Yeah.
That's why you see.
Yeah.
That's why you see. You don't know what go to the hospitals.
Yeah.
And you tell them that you can drive. They say no. We know skills.
Yes.
We know how to hunt.
Yeah.
That's what our grandfathers left, and that's what we live with. So whatever you think you are an alien.
Yeah.
Different. You are unidentified
Flying object. Well, listen, let's start with the UK update from Nigeria. And within the studio, Mr. Frank, this is Archie, and we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki all the way in the North London studios, bringing you
time fast spent. It's exactly 11:42, and let's just touch on one more story, and then we wind it down so that our program can continue as usual. Remember, do not go anywhere. It is still Star Radio UK, the morning show. This morning, Buhari must go protesters have decided to block Abuja Airport Road. The protesters barricade the expressway with bonfire, preventing vehicular movement along the road. This was about some few hours ago this morning. Angry Nigerians, just as we've been deciding, these are still Nigerians that believe in one Nigeria, but the situation in the country is getting them into the street, where they are protesting against bad governances, insecurity. On Monday morning, staged a peaceful protest, block off the Abuja Airport Road. The protesters, mostly youth, took the campaign to Dantata Bridge along the road, which served as the major entrance and exit point of the capital city as early as 5 a.m. chanting hashtag Buhari must go. I come back now to you in the studio.
Well, hashtag Buhari must go. But will Buhari go? Who voted him into power? Even if there was a bit of error, margin of error in the election, somebody would say, maybe, let's say, it wasn't up to 10%. And Buhari so maybe throw the constitution out. Let's get people who come and write it. I mean, the fundamental issues are not solved, which are how they can function, the structure of the whatever, too much power concentration in the president, the relationship between the federal state and what we call it, the regional states. So how do they do that? They power the government out. The responsibility of the police over the citizens, how citizens are suffered under the police. Because someone coming in is not going to say that citizens should have the right to sue the police when they have been abused. It's not going to happen unless the structure changes. So at the end of the day, yes, Buhari might be the figure that we're looking at. And I want to see a politician in Africa who, for instance, let's assume Nana Akufo-Addo. He claims to have had a vision. And again, we must differentiate between visions. Now, assuming he's calmed down when he was elected, well, let's take an African leader here. I mean, you elect the president comes in and said, look, I understand I've been elected based on this reform. I have a vision for this country. But fundamentally, certain things will need to change. I know I've been given power to do this, but I have been in opposition before. I've not been in power all the time throughout my life. And part of the problem I identified has been as a direct result of how this power is used. Now, I know I'm not going to be in power forever. I am going to use my pen to fix that job, to fix that situation, so that when I leave, my legacy will be an instrument of change and reach to the generation. Any president leader who have done, who can do that, I think the president will do it. Let me run the campaign, let me run. The 6 months, I'm establishing a commission to review my powers in appointing the police, to review my this, so that constitutionally I do not have. It becomes a permanent issue. Are you getting it? But you're not going to get that. Then I'm going to get that you want to do the brutalize it, to criticize it, and therefore say this is an opportunity. Why would I use organization agendas as they go to appoint people, a majority of 5 people in the Security Council that are failing? Are you getting it? We do have a problem. So why are you going to come? Are you going to bring an Igbo man? You bring an Igbo man tomorrow, you also fill the place with Igbo. And mind you, Buhari has not been in power since 1960. No. Okay. Sunday Igboho set to shut down Lagos. Olayomi, a quick one on that before you go.
Well, Lagos Mega Rally, as it's called, will be coming up July the 3rd, as the date has now been announced. It's one of the biggest massive rally that a lot of Yorubas are expecting to take down, the whole of the Southwest. And that date has now been officially put out. I'll be discussing more on that tomorrow when we come on air. Well, I can announce officially, as also the spokesman for Chief Sunday Igboho, that the rally goes ahead live in Lagos on the 3rd of July. And he has said it's a peaceful rally and everyone should be on there to join them on that day.
Okay. Dominic, let's say thank you very much for another wonderful update.
Bye for now.
Okay. Well, listeners, that was Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. Let's take a musical break.
I think 1 minute in break can close the broadcast. I think 1 minute to close.